So this video is going to train you a little bit on how to use your carbohydrate pieces to build various types of monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides during the carbohydrate construction activity. So this will be a good review on the video that you watched about the carbohydrates, talking about the different types of monosaccharides. So here is a monosaccharide. So we have a monosaccharide of glucose there. Notice that it is just made up of just that one piece. It's a monomer. So monosaccharides are the monomers of carbohydrates, and they're used to build the various types of disaccharides and polysaccharides that are out there. So there's glucose. Here's another monosaccharide that was talked about in the video. That's fructose. Now I don't have the last monosaccharide that was talked about, galactose. I actually don't have a cutout version of that, but that would be the 3 monosaccharides that you're required to know about. So notice that the 2 different monosaccharides, they're very similar in that they have H's and OH's. They're a little bit differently built. They have a little bit of a different shape, but they're pretty much primarily single pieces. So if I want to actually build a disaccharide, that would be putting 2 monosaccharides together, I would need to actually remove some of the H's and OH's so that I could easily put them together. And of course, we all know that the removal of an H and an OH has a very special name that we talked about last unit and in last night's video, and that is of course called dehydration synthesis. So if I wanted to make, let's say, a disaccharide with both glucose and fructose, I would have to remove an OH off of one end. So that gives you a thing that looks like this now, right? And there's the OH that I just removed. And then I would also need to remove the H. Now, of course, this is going to have to flip upside down, but that's okay. So I'll just flip this around, because right now they still aren't going to fit together. I still have a spot there that I need to remove the H. Okay, so here is one. Here's another one that I've actually removed the H on. I'll just do a quick flip here. So there's that. And it's like magic, ladies and gentlemen. And of course I have to get my H here, which, as you all know, working with these pieces is a lot of fun to try to pick up those little H's, but it's okay. I'm a professional. There you go. Okay, so there is the H that I removed. And now I can put these together. And now I have a disaccharide. I've made that bond. And if I have a disaccharide made of the monomer fructose and glucose, this is commonly referred to as sucrose. And sucrose is table sugar. So the H and the OH don't just hang out by themselves, because they like each other a lot too. So they're going to form up together like that. And now I've made a water. So I've made one bond right here. That's a covalent bond. And by removing the H and OH off of the monomers, those H and OH's come together to form a water molecule, and this is called dehydration synthesis. Now, if I wanted to break this down, like my body normally does when I eat sugar, your body does the reverse. It wants this glucose really, really bad, so it's going to rip these apart back into their individual monomers through the process of digestion. And it has to put the H's and OH's back in. So I have to break the water to do that. There we go. So that is hydrolysis, because I had to break the water in order to break the bond between the fructose and glucose. So some other things that we learned last night in the video. So that was a monosaccharide, 2 monosaccharides building into a disaccharide. Remember that depending on what monosaccharides you use, you can get different disaccharides. So if I take 2 glucose molecules And there I remove the OH, and I'm just going to remove this H again. If I take two glucose molecules and bond them together through the process of dehydration synthesis, there we go. This, of course, forms water. There we go. Now I have the disaccharide maltose. So if I change the types of monosaccharides I use, I get different types of disaccharides. The one other thing I want to point out is notice I haven't removed the H and the OH from the other side of these molecules. You only remove the H and OH where you're going to make a bond. So be careful when you're cutting out your pieces today. Make sure you keep the H's and OH's on until you're ready to make a bond, and only cut the H's and OH's off in the positions that you want them to be removed to make that bond. So let's do one more thing before we're done, and that is, of course, if I take a disaccharide like maltose and I want to make a polysaccharide, I have to bond another glucose, let's say, on the end of this. So if I can bond another one here, that would make a polysaccharide. And of course, polysaccharides can be 3, can be 4, can be 10,000 monosaccharides long. But obviously my camera is only so big, so I'm only going to do 3. But if I want to go ahead and bond the last monosaccharide on here, I have to remove the OH from this end, and that will allow me to bond that last one together. So I'm going to replace that one with this one. So I've removed another OH from the end here. Let me grab that OH. Okay, so I've removed another one. There's that. Okay. Now I have to remove the H as well so that I can bond that together there. So I need to remove the H. I'm going to pull that one out. And I guess I have to find one here. Here's one. There's one there. Okay. And then just grab that H, which is right here. So I basically now I've made a polysaccharide, and I can make another water. So I've made 2 bonds, and I've made 2 waters through dehydration synthesis. And once again, notice, if I slide this down a little bit over here so you can see, I haven't removed the OH from that side, haven't removed the H from that side. Those stay because there's no bonds made at those locations. Okay, so I think with this training video, I think you are ready to try and tackle the carbohydrate construction. I hope, make sure you read the instructions, because you do have different types of monosaccharides. Like I said, you've got the glucose and the fructose, and it's going to tell you which ones to put together to make different types of disaccharides and polysaccharides. All right, good luck.